change-maker moment of the match came in the 79th minute. Balou Tabla getting the goal, Gareth.
Look at this ball over the top. Bassett to Balou. Thomas Meyer-Giguère, come on, this is breaking a cardinal rule. Always know where the most dangerous player on the pitch is. He can't just run in behind you. He wasn't Didic's man, left him alone. The best player in the game, the supposed or should have been man of the match, goes out and scores the match winner. Balou Tabla, what a goal, what a ball by Ollie Bassett.
Don't be salty because the goalkeeper's getting love. We're going to be giving Nathan Inga more love in this game, as well as Atletico Ottawa go on to win 2-0, because after Balou Tabla gets the go-ahead goal, Zach Verhoeven gets the goal in the 94th minute to seal this victory for Ottawa. They're going to go home feeling pretty good about themselves. He feels good about himself, too, because he got both predictions right, by the way, for both games.
He's requesting again that someone else bring up that he predicted the right outcome again before the game.
If you like getting games right, then you listen to your boy Wheels Up. Can I get this camera right here?
No!
Just this one right here. I want this camera on me. It's over, ladies and gentlemen. It's over. The Canadian Premier League final is heading to Ottawa. The North Star Shield, for the first time, will be presented in our nation's capital this season. Well done, Atletico Ottawa.
So
well done.
That's a half-bold prediction.
Tie over.
Half bold, because you are saying that Ottawa's going to go to the final, but you're not saying if they're going to win it. But you are confirming
going to the final.
They're going to the
Ottawa fans, what a comeback story this has been.
This has been great.
Just embrace it. They've embraced it. Now, let's be honest and let's get into actually what happened. This was the perfect Ottawa game. Yeah. This is how Atletico Ottawa plays. They defend, they frustrate, they strike on the counter. Like, replicate this time and time and time again like they have all season long. This is Atletico Ottawa football. Look, it takes hard work to play this way. And that's why they're celebrating. They're thrilled by this, because their hard work and their commitment is paying off.
More than hard work, Wheels, it's discipline. For them, for 90 minutes, to know that you're not going to have the ball as much, that you have to stand in a low block, that teams are going to seem like they can play around you, it could be frustrating. You'd have players like Balou Tabla thinking, I'm the most talented player on the pitch right now. Why shouldn't I be up in their end getting on the ball? But shout out to Gonzalez, the coach, because he has everyone doing a shift. Yeah. Everyone grinding. Talented players, but they're all working together. And Pacific, even though I think the second half they came and played with more gusto, played with more life, you can't keep a team to no chances. They're going to have 2 or 3 or 4 chances. And Pacific fell short, and Ottawa punished with 2 goals off of 2 chances.
Everyone on that Ottawa team is bought in right now to what they're doing, right? It's so clear to see. And Balou Tabla, like, it took him a little while to get going, I think, at the start of the season. Right now, he is the best player in the Canadian Premier League. He is the biggest difference maker in this league by far. I think there's some really good players in these playoffs, don't get me wrong, but he is consistently impacting, games in multiple moments. We saw it tonight, not just the goal. He's all over the pitch in an attacking sense. He's as good as anyone in our league. He might not be in the league next year. He's that good, because I think he's going back to a higher level.
But that's the thing. You buy in because you're starting to get results. So perhaps the trickiest moment for Gonzalez would have been at the beginning of the season, where he's like, all right, boys, this is how we're going to play. But they started to get results. Like, as a player, how much time do you give a coach where you're like, okay, at some point, this formation, this tactic isn't working, right? Like, I'm wondering what the expiration time is on that, because they had faith in him. They started to get the results. Other than maybe a couple times in the season where we saw them go in second, they never dipped out of the top 4. They were always the perennial contenders at first. But just how crucial is that beginning of the season with a coach trying to tell his players, this is how we're going to play, trust me?
Very crucial. And I also tip my hat off to Gonzalez, because he didn't really pick this squad.
No.
He brought in Sissoko, he brought in a couple other players, but there was already kind of formed by the GMs and whatnot. To get everyone on the same page is a very difficult thing to do. Also, it's okay if you have maybe 4 or 5 players and you already have a system. But there are so many players this season that are wearing Atletico Ottawa jersey for the first time. So to get them all bought in, all on the same page, he has all my respect, and hands down, Coach of the Year.
I think it was 16 or 17 new players on permanent deals or season-long loans. Like, to get that group, that many changes, and get that group together as quickly as they have done, it's a phenomenal job. And I think Wills is right. I think they're going to be hosting the final in 2 weeks' time.
The stat holds true. when they score first, they don't lose. That's 14 wins from 18. They haven't lost a game where they've gone on to score first. And away now, you know, their away record is just absolutely incredible. And that's because they're willing to do the little things right and, you know, do the dirty things. And look, Marco Bustos had a couple chances, but largely everything that Pacific created, it was like a hopeful chance from distance. There was one, and we'll get into it as the post-game rolls on, a penalty claim for Pacific. I do think that they kind of have a decent claim at that. That's a turning point. That's not given. Pacific doesn't, you know, find a way to score, then this game is over. And this time, like now Pacific needs to go to Ottawa with a great crowd, growing support in our nation's capital, which is great to see with them behind them. And they have to go on and at least score 2 goals, Andy.
Just to get a shootout.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Good luck. Exactly. So reminder, they have to win that game. They have to get at least 2 goals in order for it to go straight to penalty kicks. That will determine who will go to the final. Let's bring you now the all-state save of the match. Nathan Ingham, you know, he had a few shots on net. He had to come up big with some of these chances, even though you've mentioned it. A lot of times the shots were coming from the periphery, but this one here, you got to give him some credit. 65th minute on Bustos, you mentioned he had some chances here, but Nathan Ingham coming up strong.
Yeah, what a performance from Nathan Ingham, and this is a player, I think, who is as motivated as anyone right now to win this Canadian Premier League title, because he was the starting goalkeeper for York United. They decided they want to go with Giant Soplis, good player, you know, you can make that decision. But he was discarded, essentially, right? And told to find another starting job. And he's gone and done that in Ottawa. He's been arguably the best goalkeeper in the Canadian Premier League. And I just think he's desperate to prove to people that he can be, you know, he is one of the top goalkeepers in this league. And he's doing it right now.
Whatever potion they gave him before the game as well obviously worked, because we saw him go down in warm-up. He was, I mean, again, we're going to play doctor here on TV, but he was clutching the core area. I don't know if it was ribs. Was it his back?
Yeah.
Something was happening here to the point where the trainer came out. He was lying down on his back and he had to talk to him for a little bit, left the pitch, then ended up coming back out. I mean, how different would this team look with him not in net?
A huge difference, because he's a guy, as I said before the game, he's always talking. Just a lot of vibes coming from him. And I'll say personally, knowing him and being friends, I will not hear the end of it if he picks up a North Star Shield. So, especially coming from York, he will not let me live it down. But you see today, he's a key component to this squad.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just wish him all the best going forward.
Oh, do you? Because that sounded so genuine.
I mean, I said it to say it. Did I mean it?
I wish you all the best, and I hope you have the best of luck in the second leg. The second leg, by the way, will once again be right here on One Soccer. You can catch the second leg for both these teams. So earlier today, we brought you Forge and Cavalry. That was a 1-1 draw. That game will go at 5 p.m. And before them, yes, they are now in the nation's capital in Ottawa, inside TD Place. They will go first at 2 p.m. Ottawa with a nice 2-0 victory here tonight. So be sure to join us on Sunday, October 23rd. That day will determine who the finalists will be for the 2022 North Star Shield. So the celebrations continuing for Ottawa. They're feeling pretty good going home. James Merriman, none too pleased with that result. We'll continue to break this one down on Matchday Live here on One Soccer.
Who's this game for? For those just making their start? Or those with a whole city on their back? For those who are always game? Or those who are pioneers? For those who are chasing glory? Or is it for all of us?
Volkswagen.
We're used to labels. Apologetic. Sweet. Pushovers.
1, 2, 3, bang!
But screw labels. No more being polite. No more sugarcoating. Because we're label-less and limitless. Oat Canada, the official plant protein partner of Canada Soccer.
We call it the beautiful game, where artistry leaves you in awe, mixed with emotion that grips the soul. We are witness to beautiful goals, where unbelievable cannot begin to describe what we just saw. It is where pride comes to life on the pitch. Respect has been earned. This is where one game is found on One Soccer.
Cross, headed on, good save. Margot stopped by Pauli, rebounds, stopped again.
Ottawa feeling pretty good after this result here. Leg one, 2-0. They are victorious. Blue Tabla getting the scoring going for them. Was that a heart? Was that love? That's what they're feeling right now. He scored in the 79th minute, so we didn't see any goals in that first half. Wondering if this was going to end in a draw. Try it. Difficult middle. Aw, cute. 79th minute for him. Then in the 94th minute, for good measure, Zach Verhoeven gets a goal, comes on in as a substitute and just says, you know what, I'm going to put the nail in the coffin here just a little bit.
Yeah, the super sub Zach Verhoeven, he's done this a few times this season. And look, this is probably the goal now. When you look at a 2-0 deficit going back to TD Place, I think it's going to be an absolute mountain for Pacific to climb. This is probably the moment I think you're looking at that Atletico Ottawa punched their ticket to a CPL final and a home CPL final as well, given obviously they're the regular season champion.
What did you make of that goal?
Like, good switch of play from left to right. When it came down to it, there were times in this game where Pacific had opportunities to attack on the counterattack. There just wasn't enough impetus. The decisions that were being made too slow. This is what Atletico Ottawa does. They're just in transition. If you don't have players back in proper areas, you're going to find that space to exploit. That's all that is. Shifting from left to right, finding that area. I'm a big fan of Zach Verhoeven. The Zach attack, for how little he plays, because he's not one of the core players on this Atletico Ottawa team, even before in Pacific, he just always seemed to be involved in positive things when they happen on the field, like whether it's goals, assists, so I'm thrilled for him. Obviously, looked like there was some friends and family in attendance as well, so it's a big moment for the club. You're right, 1-0 going back home, the game's still very much in doubt. 2-0 against this Atletico Ottawa team and the way they play. They'll have to deal with the Speo. He picked up another yellow. Sounds like he will be suspended. But we debated it before the match, not starting Drew Becky. Looks like a stroke of genius now from Carlos Gonzalez, because now you're going to have him fresh. He came on for the last 10 minutes or so, but you're going to have, your captain, your leader, coming back in fresh next week. So strength in numbers.
I'm sure there are a lot of Pacific fans, though, saying right now, don't bury the lead. Should we have had a penalty kick? So let's take a look at that moment, because you believe they should have.
I think one of us says yes, one of us says no, and maybe the other somewhere in between. Is that accurate to say? I think that this is a penalty. I think it's a sloppy challenge. Catches Habibullah. There was absolutely no contact made by the defender on the ball. The argument will be made that the player went down soft. Yes, he went down theatrically, but Espeo came across the player. Look at the contact right there. Nowhere close to the ball. I mean, Habibullah had full control. He could have taken the ball, turned, found an opponent. That was his intent was to make an attacking move here, and the defender made absolutely no contact with the ball whatsoever. So that's a penalty for me.
Okay, so you say penalty. What do you say, Ollie?
I just don't know if there's enough there, and I certainly don't mind a referee erring on the side of caution in a semi-final if he's not sure, and I don't think he's sure there. You can argue it, I think, and when you can debate it like we are, I think it's difficult to really criticize the referee.
How are you feeling?
You have to be convinced in this moment. For me, Habibullah, he falls too easily. Espeo does lunge, which is why we're debating about it right now, but it's not enough for me to give a pen. These are semifinal games. You have to be completely 100% sure that it's a penalty to give one.
When it comes to Marco Bustos, we said that, he wasn't in the playoffs last year, was dealing with a knee injury. Obviously, it was crushing for him. There's a lot of expectation. He has been very open and honest about wanting to make a leap into Major League Soccer. And this is a player who we do look at to see if he can provide offense. He did have his moments in this game, Ollie. So, even though his team is walking away with the loss, even though he doesn't get a goal, they don't get a goal, which means he also doesn't get an assist, and he's been a great assister throughout the season. How do you still look at his game, especially in that second half, and still have hope that that can carry over into leg 2?
Yeah, I thought he was good in the second half, to be honest with you. I thought he was Pacific's best player. And, you know, I kind of mentioned it pre-game when I was talking about him. I think he needs more help. Like, I think he's trying to do a lot on his own. Like, this is a classic example. You know, going past one player, coming into the box, not necessarily a ton of options for him to pick out. And I thought that was the story of the half, was Bustos really giving it everything he had to make a difference in the game, but not necessarily getting a whole lot of help around him. And I just wonder, like I said pre-game, last season he had Bassett, who was a great playmaker in the first half of the season. He had Diaz. He had a really good relationship with Caden Chung. I don't think he's got quite the same chemistry with Dadaluk, even though Dadaluk is a good player. And I just don't think, you know, he's quite getting the kind of support that he needs to play off people, little 1-2s in combination. That's where he's at his best, I think. He's having to do a bit too much on his own right now for me.
He was outstanding in the second half. That's the Marco Bustos that we'd like to see more often, but I agree with you, Ollie. I don't think it's on him. He's playing with a number 9 who's still a teenager in Javi Bula, who may have a bright future, but he's gone from playing with Guero Diaz last season with Taryn Campbell, some like really big threats and some real big focal points in attack. You've seen it. Like, Atletico Ottawa were physical with him. They basically put 2 or 3 players in his area every time, and they were trying to allow someone else on Pacific to beat them. And with Bustos and Hurd just, you know, carrying so much weight in terms of the success of that attack and not really having much else, I think that's what's holding him back more so than anything else.
A day like today, you really miss Diaz because he was a 9. He had the best movement in the league. But he was a guy that Bustos looked to combine with.
Yep.
Right now he's looking, but there's nothing there. No shade or no disrespect to anyone, but you could see that they're not the same. There's not the same team going forward. So for Bustos, he's trying to create, and maybe at times he's doing too much. What I want to see for him in the second leg next week is stop coming and picking up the ball at half or 40 yards from your goal. Trust your team to fire the ball into the pocket when you're 20, 25, 30 yards out from their goal, and try to make something happen that way. Too many touches he's having 45 yards out and not really affecting the game. Put himself in a position to turn, to really attract players and try to make something happen. That's what he was doing more of second half. Why he was successful is because his movement was direct and he was able to get shots off or combine.
What about Manny Aparicio? We've been saying a lot about this. You know, you could still make an argument, make a case for him being player of the year, even though he has not played a lot of games due to suspension. But do you think Ottawa was successful in silencing him?
Yes. It was a frustrating game for Manny. We all rate him highly. We've all documented that. But that's a tough matchup against Bassett, arguably the most influential in the CPL this season, and Sissoko, a player with bags of experience. Like, there's balance in that team. And every time it seemed like Aparicio, he would drop deep too. He wasn't getting the ball in between the lines. And he'd look up and there'd be 7, 8 Atletico Ottawa players sitting there. It's like a wall, and it makes it very difficult for him when he tries to drop deep like that. So again, it's an issue, just not having a focal point, not having maybe strength in numbers in terms of that attack to kind of balance around him.
They have to find a solution at that number 9 position, right? I don't know if they got a ton of options. Habibula, I thought, did okay today, but he's not an out-and-out striker. So I think they'll go back to Jordan Brown in that second leg, but you know, James Merriman decided today that he wasn't the guy, so there's still a real question mark at that position for me.
So today ends with Atletico Ottawa. The victors here 2-0 over Pacific. When we return, as we continue to break this game down, we're going to hear from some Pacific players and see if we can get some insight in how they're feeling after the match and, of course, what they feel they need to do heading into leg 2, which will be in Ottawa. They're heading in feeling good, and they're going to have the fans behind them in the second leg next Sunday. Stay with us here on One Soccer. The 2022 Canadian Championship Final.
No words, man, no words. Dreams come true.
Welcome on in to our One Soccer studios. You are watching One Soccer today.
It is championship season in CONCACAF League play, and the finals are set. The finals for the Scotiabank CONCACAF League begin this fall. Olympia versus Alajuelense. One Soccer.
Who's this game for? For those just making their start? Or those with a whole city on their back? For those who are always game? Or those who are pioneers? For those who are chasing glory? Or is it for all of us?
Volkswagen.
There is something quite magical about heading into a new destination. A journey into the unknown. Not alone, but together, as a country, as a sport, ready to soar. We are Canada, and this is our sport. This is our time.
Look at your full-time stats, and even though Pacific had the chunk of possession, the numbers that matters that they were even when it comes to shots, and Ottawa with one more shot on target, and the big number that matters, that's called the final score. 2-0 Ottawa over Pacific. This is what Pacific's Nathan Mavilla had to say after the match.
Tough one, man. Tough one. There's not much I can actually say. We, again, dominated the game. And that's all was planned, right? They sit back, and hit you on the counter. And I thought, besides those 2 goals, we were quality. We just lacked a bit of quality in the final third for the goals. And not much I can say, man. Not much I can say. Not much I can say.
What happened at the end defensively in the last 10 minutes?
A bit of miscommunication. Callum's usually unreal when he's coming out. Probably the best in the league when he's coming out for the ball, you know, cleans up almost as a sweeper. But again, miscommunication, and it happens. You're allowed one in the season, and there's a reason why he's been nominated for one of the best goalkeepers in the league. And the second goal deflected off my shin. There's nothing I can do, and it's just gone in the top corner.
I mean, just Nate, what were your kind of perspective on that Ottawa block that they threw at you guys? Obviously, they're very solid. They didn't move a lot. How is it trying to break that down?
They were solid. They were solid. There's not much we can say. They're solid. That's what they do. That's their plan. They just wait. They're patient. They're organised, and yeah, they wait for their time, and they got their time today.
So obviously, you had some chances as well in the final third, but maybe some of them gone wasting. Is that a bit frustrating, maybe from your perspective, weren't able to get one at home?
Yeah. Especially with like a good crowd like that. It motivates you to keep going for 95 minutes, but it just wasn't our day.
So you're probably going to face, similar luck, if not, even more people behind the ball back next week in Ottawa. Were there any, kind of openings, opportunities that you saw that you might be able to take advantage of next week?
Can't say that right here, can we? Because then again, they'll work on it, but I'm sure we've got, the right coaching staff to work on that. But again, take nothing away. Besides the 2 goals, we were excellent. And besides not taking our chances again, we were excellent. So it's just one of those ones where it's tough. It's a tough loss.
This last game at Starlight for this season, any reflection on how it's been playing here in front of the fans? You got a good crowd out tonight.
Yeah. On a personal note, it's a different team in the CPL, different crowd compared to my last team, but I love it. I love it here. It's good. The crowd here is always behind you, win, lose or draw. They're always behind you. Good crowd, loud crowd, and always got your back. So there's nothing more you can say,
Thanks, guys. Nate, we'll go to some questions on Zoom for you. First question goes to you, David Parks. Go ahead.
Hello, Nate. Obviously not the results you had hoped for. That first half, especially the first 20 minutes, it seems, not too much more in the game. Then half an hour mark is when things started to pick up. What did the coach tell you at halftime knowing that you guys are carrying the game, you guys are dominating and trying more so to score. Just keep you guys in level-headed in this way and making sure you come in the second half and try and get that goal. Exactly that. It was just stay patient. Don't get lazy on the passing. Don't get lazy on the runs. Don't get lazy on anything. And just be patient. Your time will come. Our time did come. We had a couple chances. Jordan Brown, clear cut. We had a couple more. We had a penalty that should have been given to us. Can't say. I'm not going to speak much on that. But again, we had our chances. We didn't take them. And yeah, it was just the word was just stay patient, keep going, keep the quality, keep the tempo, and it will come. But it just went the other way today. Yeah, and I won't go harp too much on that, but on that goal at the end, just give us a breakdown of what you saw as as the shot was coming in, as Ottawa was still creating those chances at the end. What happened on that play? You have to have a stroke of luck. He shot the ball and it just hit me. There's not much you can do. You can't move out the way. As a defender, you've got to try and block it. And 9 times out of 10, it hits you and it goes out. And then that one odd time, it goes in the top corner. So, not much you can do. We busted our ass 90 minutes, the whole team. But just the quality wasn't there up top. And I can't even just say up top and blame it on the strikers. But as a team, we didn't have enough quality to score or create quality chances.
So this is how the day played out. Earlier, Forge and Cavalry played to a 1-1 draw. Cavalry getting on the board first. Forge responding within the first 2 minutes of the second half. So that's even Steven for leg 2 at 5 p.m. Eastern next Sunday. Bit of a different story. Ottawa with the 2-0 victory here over Pacific. Pacific have a hill to climb. Atletico Ottawa look to continue their Cinderella story. So that all gets started next Sunday, the 23rd at 2 p.m. ET, right here on One Soccer. Thanks for joining us for Leg 1, Day 1 of the 2022 Canadian Premier League playoffs. On behalf of Oliver Platt, Gareth Wheeler, and Jordan Wilson, I'm Annie Petrillo. We'll see you next week.
Well done, Jordan.
It's all you.
That voice in our heads that urges you forward.
Bueno, dale, vamos.
Fuel it.
A new era for Canadian soccer.